Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. This is a follow-up from the previous clip that we recorded in giving reflection and some insight into the political situation that Muslims find themselves in. That one was more to do with the way that the politics and the politicians are running the countries, but this one is actually a bit more focused on the position of Islam and the Muslims when it comes to the world's government's hierarchies. Okay, now before we get into our discussion here, it's important for us to understand what we mean by the right, the centre and the left. Let's start off with the left. The left commonly today are known as people who are socialists, people who are communists, and what they call to are equality for everyone. Okay, so everyone should be equal, irrespective of gender, irrespective of age, religion and creed, finances, whether you're wealthy or poor, your sexual orientation. Everyone should have the right to do whatever it is that they want, however they want, and they should live in a free society where everyone is seen as equal. That's the left. Okay? Then you've got the centre, and those people who have a bit of this and a bit of that. And then you've got the right. And for me, I don't think there is a centre anymore. And I think even political analysts are even saying the same thing. The centre does not exist anymore, right? So the people on the right are the capitalists, right? Those people who have funded and promoted globalization, corporate companies, etc. And what they've basically been saying all this while is the rich deserve to be rich and the poor need to stay poor, and only a certain group of elite are at the highest level of order. Everybody else are subordinates. Without this arrangement, the world would not have any advancements. That's what they're basically saying. So they're saying that we are clever, we are rich, we are the people in power, you just listen to us, you'll be okay. Okay? Now, that's the right, and obviously you've got different strands and trends within the right as well. So you've got people who have got more of a materialistic outlook when it comes to the right sort of nuances, but then also you've got religious, and most of it is religious and patriotic. Right, on the right. So they say we are better than you because we are such religion, or we are such creed, or we are such nationality. Right. When we can understand that, now the question is, where is the place of Islam and the Muslims when it comes to the way that the governments of the world have divided the way that the politics is run? Either you're on the right or on the left. Again, starting off with the left. Muslims who are practicing their religion, now when I'm talking about Muslims, I'm not talking about sect, I'm not talking about manhaj, I'm not talking about anything. I'm just talking about an outwardly Muslim who is practicing his religion, irrespective of whether what he is doing right or wrong, right? Whether he's a mubtadi' or not. Yeah, so you could be tablighi, you could be salafi, you could be diamandi, as long as you are practicing your religion, but you are not an activist in it. You are going along with everybody else and saying, well, they've got the right to do this and we believe we've got the right to do this. They will class you as being a leftist Muslim. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not a threat. That just means, now this is very important for us to understand, the right degrade the left all the time. They see them being as colour-haired, hippie, funky people who don't know anything, and they're just dumb, and they just want, peace and, love everyone and all that kind of stuff. The right do not respect the left at all. So when they put practicing Muslims in the category of being in the left, that look, these people are demanding their rights, but they don't want to impede on other people's rights. So we'll put them in that group, but they are still an enemy. They are still the opposition. They're still the opponent. Okay. Then you've got Muslims who are in the centre. Now, these people are not practicing their religion. These people are not a threat to the right or to the left at all whatsoever. The reason why? Because these people can be manipulated. They don't believe in anything. They don't follow anything. His name is Muhammad. He eats halal. He prays every now and then. He'll go with whatever. Right? If you tell him yes, he'll say no. If you tell him yes, he'll say yes. If you tell him no, he says no. If you tell him to jump, he'll say how high. That kind of stuff. Right? Then you've got the rightist Muslims. Now, again, we're not talking about manhaj here. We are talking about people who believe in what they believe in, but they are sticking to what they believe in. Now that could be takfiri. That could be, and they're making it political. So that could be takfiri. That could be Shi'i, Rafidi. That could even be Salafi. So they call Iran as an Islamist sort of state. They call ISIS as Islamists. They call the Taliban Islamists. They call Sheikh bin Baz, there are files from, intelligence agencies who call Ibn Baz and Uthaymeen as Islamists. They call them right-wing clerics. They used to say that about our Sheikh Saleh Al-Luhaydan. How can we put them all in the same category? This is the reason. The reason why is because they see a person who is practicing his religion and calling for reform based on whether it's Kitab or Sunnah or otherwise as a rightist. They see them as being conservative, right-wing Islamists. Now they are a threat as well because they believe that supremacy belongs to themselves. So these right-wing Muslim activist Islamists need to be eradicated, and then they'll give them titles like extreme and radical and all that kind of stuff. Now this is important. Where is the role of Islam and the Muslims within all of this? Well, you be either in the left or on the right. So now we've got a general election coming up. We've got people who are councillors and MPs who are putting themselves forward. Either they will not be allowed to go forward because they'll be seen as being Islamists, so they'll be completely seen as misfits and not allowed to proceed, or they will let them proceed as seeing them as left-wing Muslim politicians. All the while will be targeted. All the while they will be attacked. Now this is also very important when it comes to Islam and Muslims, when it comes to the political hierarchy. And this is why governments, politicians have found it very hard to even identify Islamophobia, let alone define it. Because if you're on the West, you're just like the rest of them. So we have no Islamophobia. You're just a leftist who we disagree with and we want to remove and annihilate because we've got the supremacy on our side, right? But then if you're on the right, if you're in the middle, then you're not an Islamist. You're not anything. We've got no phobia towards you because you're not following Islam. But then if you're on the right, there is no Islamophobia when you're on the right. It's because you're the enemy. It's not a phobia. You're a terrorist. Therefore, Islamophobia, when it comes to a lot of right-wing governments, does not exist. They will say there is no Islamophobia. It just doesn't exist. And this is the reason why. Now, I just want to tie this in with what's happening in Gaza and Rafah and the West Bank. May Allah make it easy for them all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove their oppression. We have to bear in mind, my brothers and sisters, that whatever occurs in the Muslim Ummah, it is good for us. And we might not see the goodness in it, but it is good for us. Either in the dunya or in the akhirah, or both. How many interviews have you seen where the interviewer is saying or asking the question, do you condemn what Hamas did on October the 7th, sorry. September the 11th is another example. Do you condemn the Houthis? Do you condemn Hezbollah? Does Israel have a right to defend itself? Are these marches seen as hate marches? The reason why these questions are being asked, and I'm so surprised that nobody's actually even brought this up. Nobody's even paid any kind of attention to what's actually going on in the rhetoric. Which is what they're doing is that, look, Hamas, for them, are Islamists. So they are legal game, right? We are going to go and attack them. If 40,000 or more civilians have been killed in the process, then that's because they're on the left. So they are fair game also. So when they say Israel has a right to defend itself, what does that actually mean? What that actually means is that we have the right to kill any single Muslim, whether they are civilian or they are attacking us, because they fit into either the right or the left. And you will see this being conflated all the time. And you see this in the language that they use. So they will call Palestinians as prisoners, and then they'll call Israelis as hostages. Why? Because they're hostages because they believe they belong to the responsibility of the governance for those who are from the right-wing, supreme, wicked political party. So they fit in with the rhetoric, which is that they are right-wing, and this is in line with what the governments want us to accept as our governing bodies and our authorities. Therefore, that is fine. They are hostages. As for the prisoners, then they are prisoners. They're not hostages at all. Why? Because they have been arrested. They are under assumption of committing a crime or having some kind of ideology which is not legal. Therefore, they are, even if they are not Hamas, they are legitimate, and you can attack them and you can target them. This is because Muslims and this ummah fits in either the left or the right with these governing bodies. And that's basically what's going on. So now when you go out to march, I'm not condoning, I'm just trying to tap into what's going on. They will call it hate marches. They will say from the river to the sea is anti-Semitic. Any kind of criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. Even though you are not criticizing the Jewish faith or the Jewish beliefs, you're just criticizing the decisions and the policies of a democratic government. They will say no, that's anti-Semitic, that's completely unacceptable, and they will even probably in the near future, if they haven't already, I'm not sure, make it a crime and something which they can get arrested for. The reason why is because they belong to the far right supreme, which is protected. As for the left who want to go out there, well, you're free to go out there, but we'll call it a hate march. We'll call it a hate march. And the reason why we'll call it a hate march is because you are siding with the right-wing Islamists and you are not condemning them because they are our enemy. That makes you, the left, our enemy also. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us insight and He gives us the ability to see what is haqq as haqq and batil as batil. Wallahu a'lam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad.